2 of the fantasy baseball season, and here's a few pitchers I would drop so far in the early going. The first guy, Ross Stripling of the San Francisco Giants. A Stripling signing with the Giants in the offseason, and so far he's off to a slow start here, Stripling, and not getting the job done. So right now he's owned 44% of fantasy leagues on Stripling. So far in the season here for him, 6 2/3, 0-1 record, 4 strikeouts, a 10.80 ERA, and a 1.80 whip. So right here, Stripling, he's going out there, and he's just not getting the job done right now for fantasy owners. And we know this Giant team, they hit or miss offensively here, but he's definitely not a guy I would hold on to, Stripling. I know last season he had a good year with the Toronto Blue Jays, but this year off to a bad start with his new team. So the first 2 starts here for Stripling, April 2nd at the Yankees. 5 innings, got the loss, 6 hits, 4 runs, 2 walks, 3 Ks in that one. And April 8th versus the Royals, a weak hitting team, only 1 2/3 he lasted in that ball game. No decision, 4 hits, 4 runs, a K in that ball game. So right here, Stripling not getting the job done. Back in the bullpen here, and there's no need to really hold on to him. If they're going to use him as a swingman right now, is this San Francisco Giant team. Like I said, in the second he started that ball game, and then the 8th coming out of the bullpen and blowing that ball game. So right now, Ross Stripling, where he's going to be a swingman, and he's struggling in the early going. He's definitely a pitcher I would drop this week. The next guy, Jose Berrios of the Toronto Blue Jays. I don't know what's happened to Berrios over the last couple seasons here. He was the ace for the Minnesota Twins. Then a couple seasons ago, getting traded at the deadline to the Toronto Blue Jays, and he just hasn't been the same ever since. On the season, 9 2/3, 0-2 record, 12 strikeouts, 11.17 ERA, and a 1.86 whip. I know it's 2 starts, but right now, 2 very bad starts it's been for Jose Berrios. And like I said, it started all last season where he was struggling. So the first 2 ball games here for him, April 3rd at a weak hitting Kansas City Royal team, 5 2/3 got the loss, 9 hits, 8 runs, 2 walks, 7 Ks in that one. And then April 8th at the Angels, 4 innings, got the loss, 6 hits, 4 runs, a walk, 5 Ks. So a little bit better in his second outing. But right here, he's making all this money, and he's just not getting the job done, like I said, over the last couple seasons for fantasy owners, and obviously for this Toronto Blue Jay team that paid him a boatload of money. So right now, while he's struggling, he has been dropped in a decent amount of fantasy leagues at 8%, but still owned in 55% of leagues here is Jose Berrios. But I would give him a drop this week. The next guy, Carlos Carrasco of the New York Mets. Carrasco in the final year of his contract with the New York Mets, and he's been an up-and-down pitcher for this Met team over the last couple seasons. He's been there, and we know in his first season with the Mets, he missed the first 4 months of the year as well with injury. So on the season so far for Carrasco, 4 innings, he's only lasted in 2 starts, 0-1 record, 4 strikeouts, an 11.25 ERA, and a 2 whip. So right here, he's been batting practice, and this Met team, they need him to get going here, is Carlos Carrasco, but obviously that hasn't been the case in the first 2 outings. So right now, he's owned in 39% of fantasy leagues, and the first 2 outings of the year for him, April 3rd at the Brewers, he got torched in that one, 4 innings, got the loss in that ball game, 4 hits, 5 earned runs, 4 walks, 4 strikeouts in that game. And April 9th versus the Marlins yesterday, 4 2/3, got the loss in that game, 6 hits, 6 runs, 3 walks, a K. So right now he's not getting the job done as Carrasco. This Met team, their offense hasn't been up to snuff so far this season. I know they had a couple decent games versus Miami, but besides that, not much going, and the run support hasn't been there for Carrasco, and also the pitching hasn't been there. So right now, if you don't want to wait on him, I would drop him this week. The next guy, with Cabrera, the Miami Marlins. So Cabrera, no doubt about it, has high upside and electric stuff, but he's a guy right now that doesn't have great control of his pitches, and a guy that walks the ballpark as well. So far in the season, 6 2/3, 0-1 record, 6 strikeouts, 5.40 ERA, and a 2.25 whip. So right now, Cabrera owned in 62% of fantasy leagues, but like I said, he's not getting the job done. And I know the first 2 outings were versus a pretty decent New York Met hitting team, even though they're not hitting great so far in the early going. And Cabrera just has struggled with control, like I said, and failed to get past the 4th inning. April 1st versus the Mets, 4 innings, no decision, 2 hits, 2 runs in that one, 6 walks, 2 strikeouts. And April 7th at the Mets, 2 2/3, got the loss in that game, 2 runs, 7 walks, 4 Ks in that ball game. So right now, his next outings versus another tough offense at the Philadelphia Phillies, April 12th here for Edward Cabrera. And I said the upside is good, no doubt about it, but he's just not executing and getting the job done. And he's hurting your whip and ERA and not going deep into games where he could even qualify to get a win. So right now, while he's struggling, he's a guy I would drop, but I would come back to him maybe at a later time, if he turns things around in the fifth and final pitcher I look to drop this week here is Alex Lang. The Detroit Tigers are coming into the season. A lot of people thought he would be the closer for this Tiger team. But right here, he pitched in the 7th inning in that ball game for the Tigers on Sunday. It was Lang. So right now, that's not closer opportunities. And so far, he don't have a save under his belt on the season. 3 2/3, 0-0 record, 4.91 ERA, no saves, a 1.19 whip. So right here, Alex Lang, he's not getting the opportunity at the closer role. We know this Tiger team really isn't that good to begin with going into this season, where there might not be a lot of opportunities for him, even if he was the closer. But now, if he's pitching in the 7th inning of ball games, obviously, he's not going to be a guy as of now that's going to get the closer opportunity. Maybe it'll happen for him down the line later on this season, but right now he's a guy with drop. And like I said, closers over the last few seasons, they don't really bring much value to fantasy teams, unless obviously you're in a category league and it's one of the categories. So that's a few pitchers I look to drop here in week 2 of the fantasy baseball season.